ready for our Christmas energy blast. We're going to be moving into a higher level of grace and joy and miracles. That's what this class is about. And your greatest dreams coming true in a natural way, just like you have flowers that blossom in your garden. You'll see your greatest dreams coming true as you apply the secret wisdom of the story of the birth of the Christ. And it's now 7:03, so I guess I know we have over 100 registered, so probably a lot of folks are going to be maybe just listening, not coming online. And welcome, everyone. Raise your hand if you have never done any work with me at all, if I've never interacted with you at all. Okay. All right. Okay. So I'm going to start off with a couple of quotes. And this first one comes from an ancient text called the Corpus Hermeticum. And you'll see that the story of the birth of the Christ predates the actual uh, story of Jesus Christ by thousands of years. And in the Corpus Hermeticum, which comes from combination of Egyptian and Greek spiritual teachings that were discovered around the first century, we have this simple little quote, and this kind of nails the whole thing for us. And the quote is this: "The physical body is a womb for the soul." Let me just take that in for a couple of moments. The physical body is a womb for the soul. Your physical body is a womb for your soul, and what is being given birth there is what we can call the Christ or the Christos. The Christos is the ancient Greek term that the word Christ comes from. And that word was used thousands and thousands of years before the story of Jesus Christ. That's how Jesus was given the name Christ. And so it's interesting this week, as I was preparing for this class, I wanted to reread a book that I'd written many times called The Christos, which is by a spiritual teacher by the name of Vitvan. And it's funny, I never actually found the book, but here's a little thing that I wrote here. Throughout this week, I found myself chanting, "Boy, would I like to find the Christos," only half realizing what I was saying. I thought I was just singing out loud about how I was looking for the book by Vitvan called The Christos. Only later, after repeating it multiple times, that I realized I was chanting a search for the Christos, like one of the three wise men who looked for the baby Jesus. So I found that to be kind of ironic. I was looking for the Christos all week. So we're going to get started now and get into the material. And again, I want you to feel welcome to ask questions at any time, because I don't know how much of this story you know from the New Testament, from the Gospels. And what we're going to be drawing from is some of the things that were stated in the book of Matthew. But first, let's take a look at at the name Jesus, because what this class is about is what your life is about. Every single thing that you are going through in your life is specifically designed by the universe to advance the birth of Christ process in you, the fulfillment of your divine potential. And as you advance in this process of the birth of Christ process, as you advance in this process, something really interesting starts to happen in your life. Your whole life starts to raise up to a higher vibration. And that's the key to improving your life. Like, you could try to focus on improving your finances or improving a relationship or improving a health situation. But as you advance in the birth of Christ process, your whole life is moving up into a higher level of vibration. And what that means is you start seeing abundance flowing in. and you start seeing more harmonious relationships manifesting, and you see more career success and fulfillment and purpose manifesting, and you see healing manifesting, and you see all kind of synchronicities starting to happen in your life, things just kind of falling into place, things showing up at the right time without any particular effort on your part, just because you're rising up in vibration and your whole life then rises up. That's the secret key to improving your life. Not trying to manifest this or manifest that, but to raise the vibration of your life so that it functions at a higher level. And it keeps on going higher and higher and higher the longer you stick with the process. Okay. So just let's start by looking at the name of Jesus. So if you spell the name Jesus in Hebrew, it's spelled Yad He Shin Vav He. And every letter in the Hebrew alphabet is like a word. So every name is like a sentence. So the name Jesus means reality liberates. There's your secret key. Reality liberates. Reality liberates what? Reality liberates your divine nature. That's why you're born. That's what the universe is. The universe, your physical body, it's all a womb giving birth to your divine being, your ability to create reality with your consciousness in more and more beautiful ways, right? Um, so that's what's being liberated, is the higher you. Now, the higher you, we could call it your higher self, the divine self, is actually the real you. Right now, that higher you is having a dream of whatever your personality is, whatever you think your limitations are, whatever your personal story is. That's kind of a dream. As the true self, as the Christ self emerges in you, you begin to identify more and more with that eternal being that you truly are. And you realize that you've incarnated many times, you've had many bodies, many personalities, many personal lifetimes, personal lives, but the real self is what's emerging. So one of your deepest underlying urges is to be yourself, is to be who you truly are, to shift from the ego-centered life of trying to prove yourself into the authentic life of just being yourself without feeling the need to prove yourself. All this is going to start to become clear as we progress. So Christ comes from the Greek, which is Christos, and that word means anointing. The literal translation of the word Christos means anointing. So anointing on a symbolic physical level is like pouring oil down on the head and you anoint someone with oil. But Christos refers to a different kind of an anointment. It's in Christian mysticism, it's referred to as the anointment of the Holy Spirit. It's an anointment of energy that comes down into you, that raises your vibration and takes you into a higher level. When you're in that higher level, your vibration, your energy is healing, like all the things that Christ does in the Gospels, your vibration is doing naturally as you raise it. So the anointment is when you could tell. I remember when I first met my teacher, my first teacher, Isidore Friedman, the energy that radiated from him, and I talk about that on my podcast Tuning In with Bob Lancer. It's on YouTube. The energy was so powerful and so clarifying. And sometimes it felt like I was on fire just being in his presence, right? And then when I met my next teacher, started working with my next teacher, I never met in person. I only talked to him on the phone, Arlen Patton, a similar thing, not the same intensity, but I could feel the energy shift. And when people work with me, they can feel the energy shift because of the process that I've been through, the process that I teach. I've been doing this for 40 years now. I've been on this path and teaching full time, doing this work. This is what I was born to do. This is all I've ever really done, is to take people through into the awakening process. We're living at a time right now when more people are going through this awakening process, according to what we're told, than at any time in history. Now, before we get into the story of the birth of Christ and the symbolism, I want to introduce the Christos through a simple lens of what's called Kabbalah. So Kabbalah, raise your hand if you've ever heard of Kabbalah. Kabbalah. Okay. So Kabbalah is an ancient teaching, and it's based on this diagram, which is called the Kabbalah Tree of Life. And supposedly it represents the tree of life that was in the Garden of Eden. And what it actually represents, if you look at it, it's like you're looking at an X-ray of reality. And it represents the actual structure of reality, the structure of the divine in you. So we have 10 circles, 10 spheres, and each one represents a divine power. The central sphere is what represents the Christos, the Christ. And so we see here's the Christos, and all these divine powers flow into the Christos. They flow up and they flow down into the Christos to develop the Christos. So the Christos is guided by divine will. Now, when I say Christos, you can also be thinking of your higher self, your true self, your spiritual soul, the true self emerging in this life. Divine will goes down, guides the Christos. Divine wisdom goes into the Christos. Divine understanding goes into the Christos. A perfect balance of divine mercy and justice goes into the Christos. Perfect honor goes into the Christos, and victory goes into the Christos. And these energies, they sit here in sphere 9. This is like the genetrix, the spiritual genetrix, until the Christos is given birth on the physical level. So this Christ in you, the higher self, your true self, is what has access to all these divine powers: divine will, divine wisdom, divine understanding, divine mercy, divine justice, divine beauty, divine victory, divine glory. And it all comes together until it's born. And you go through many lifetimes with this being processed through your life until finally the birth process takes place and the divine being, the fulfillment of your destiny, takes place in the earth plane. And long before that happens in its complete level, you're going into these higher vibrations. It's a gradual process. And this Christos energy, this anointment is coming down into you. This higher energy is coming down into you, raising you up. And as it raises you up to a higher vibrating level, it not only raises the quality of your life in every area, but it moves through you and goes into the world to bring peace and love and harmony and healing into the planet. And that fulfills your purpose. That's what you're here to do. To change the world, you don't have to go out and demonstrate and ask other people to do something differently. That rarely happens. As you raise your influence, as you raise your energy, you become a conduit for peace and love and wisdom and understanding to flow into the world and into everybody's consciousness. And you raise the whole world up to its fulfillment of its potential. And you're raising the whole human race up into the fulfillment of its divine potential, where the Christ is everyone. The divine being, humanity, has achieved the fulfillment of its purpose. So that's the key from Kabbalah. Okay, so now we're going to look at the story. So the first thing we learn in the story, wait, let me just take one brief bathroom break. It'll just take me a couple of minutes. I'll be right back.
What did Adam say the night before Christmas? It's Christmas Eve.
Ba-dum-bum-ching.
You had to go there, didn't you?
I did, yeah.
You just turn on your volume. You there?
Yes.
Okay. All right, as long as he's not there, we got another Christmas joke. Now, Jesus is my man. Just know that. But you all know that the Mary and Joseph were in the manger, and the 3 wise men were coming to visit. They weren't all the same height, right? One was short, medium, and tall, right? So the short guy goes in, The medium guy goes in, and as the tall guy goes in, he hits his head on the rafter and he says, Jesus Christ. And Joseph says to Mary, I like that better than Herman.
Well, that's a perfect segue. Thank you for giving us the bathroom entertainment. When this fire starts coming through me, it just makes me purge. So hopefully I won't have to go again today in this class. Okay, so if you open up the book of Matthew, which you don't need to do, and by the way, all these notes are going to be coming to you when Kelly sends you the recording. You're going to get all these notes with you, and they're extensive. So if you open up the book of Matthew, it lists 3 separate sets of 14 generations to trace the lineage of Jesus. So there's 14 generations, and then there's another set of 14 generations, and then a third set of 14 generations, and then comes the Christos. That's a code. The book is written in code, in a Kabbalistic code. So what does 3 times 14 mean? So the 3 refers to you, your tripart, it's called your tripart self, your 3-level self. What are the 3 levels? You have a physical body. You have a personality. That's your likes and dislikes, your anger patterns, your values, all the stuff you learned from your parents. And you have the true spiritual being, the Christ that you are. When we think Christ, we're not. So according to these teachings, this is the teaching, this is the ageless wisdom approach. Whether Christ actually lived, whether Jesus Christ actually lived 2,000 so years ago is beside the point. According to the wisdom teaching, there have been many totally divine realized beings who walk the planet, and you are meant to be one. The fact that you were born means that you were chosen to come into this life, to manifest. So you have 3 selves. So the 3 generations refer to the development of those 3 selves. Your physical body has to change, and it will. As you do the practices we're going to look at, your physical body actually goes through a change because your physical body is the instrument through which higher consciousness flows. So in order for higher consciousness to flow through your physical body, you have to do certain things so your body is able to receive those higher frequencies, right? And essentially all you'll have to do is give up the blues, but we'll talk about that in more detail. When a person lives their life at a low level, what my teacher used to call focused only on the bed, the belly, and running around. When a person lives their life with anger and greed and envy and jealousy and lust and a conflict and hatred, that changes the body too. And what that does is it makes the body a vehicle or a vessel for the lower forces to work through. As you go through the purification process that Mary represents, your physical body is transformed, just like Mary's body was transformed to be able to receive the Christ. Your body is transformed to be able to receive the Christ within you. And that Christ develops. So the generations, the three sets of 14 generations refer to the development of the physical body, the personality, which we can also call the psyche or the psychic nature, and the spiritual body, which is emerging, the spiritual being that you truly are, which right now is like a seed, and it's being nurtured by this very experience. The energy coming through this very class is the fire that nurtures the seed, is part of the fire that nurtures the seed. And I'm not saying that with any kind of egotism at all, just from experience. Now, 14 is an interesting number. 14 generations. Why? Why 14 generations? Well, another aspect of the Kabbalah is a particular form of tarot imagery. And the tarot imagery we use is the tarot that is related to the Kabbalah. So raise your hand if you've ever heard of the tarot. Okay, so most of you have. And so these are what's called wisdom images. And they represent certain levels of consciousness. And as you meditate on the image, it goes through the subconscious and it awakens that consciousness. So 14 times 3, 14 generations, 14 refers to this aspect in Tarot and Kabbalah, which is alchemy. So what is alchemy? Okay. So the ancient practice of alchemy was called turning lead into gold. It's actually the just like astrology is the forerunner of astronomy, alchemy is the forerunner of chemistry. There were these guys who would get together and try to come up with a way to take common base metal and turn it into precious gold. What they didn't know was that that was a symbolic process of turning the personality into the Christos. Transmuting, meaning raising up the level of the physical body and the personality to be a conduit for the Christ, the golden Christ child, the Christ, the divine being that you are, your ability to create reality, to create universes, your oneness with the divine. Right now, you are one with the divine, which means you are the divine, because if the divine is one, you're it. We're all it, right? But you're going through an awakening process, which this story is meant to do. Even if you don't know the keys to the story, it can still work on your subconscious to prepare you to become Mary. So what we're going to learn by the end of this class is you're not going to be wishing people Merry Christmas anymore. You're going to be wishing them Merry Christmas, because that's what it's really all about. Okay, so gold is a symbol of the Christ, right? It's also interesting when the 3 wise men come to visit the baby Christ, one of the things they give him is gold. There's a reason for that. Not only does it represent the alchemical process, it represents your genuine abundance. You are wealthy by nature. And as long as you're holding on to ideas and beliefs that you're not wealthy, that other people have more, that you don't have access to the infinite resources of the universe, you're creating that condition with your consciousness. As long as you think you need to see proof outside to show you that you're truly wealthy, you're holding up the process. You're actually working against it. You don't have to manifest abundance. You're already there. You just may not know it. There is nobody in the world wealthier than you. So when they bring the gift of gold to the Christos, it's to commemorate the fact that the Christos, that energy itself, brings the gift of unlimited wealth to all of humanity. There's nothing wrong with wealth. There's nothing wrong with money. Just don't focus on it. Just don't try to make it happen. It's inevitable. You're always going to be supplied perfectly by the universe. To become Mary is to lose your fear, to lose your worry about money, to lose ideas and beliefs about finances and money that make you feel bad, so that you allow yourself to live in the bliss of wealth. And from that bliss, you see it manifest miraculously, more and more, unless you hold it away, unless you're holding on to beliefs that say, no, it's no good, I shouldn't be abundant, or no, I'm not abundant, I do have to worry about money. As long as you hold on to that, you hold yourself in that state. But what we're going to go through tonight is going to help you to release from that state. Now, also, part of Kabbalah is called number reduction. So when we look at the number 14, remember there are 14 generations in 3 segments. So when we look at the number 14, we combine those 2 numbers. 14 is 1 and 4. 1 and 4 equals 5. Now let's look at what 5 represents before we go further in the story. So 5 in the Tarot is called the Hierophant. And that represents your inner voice, your true inner teacher, which you have. You have a true spiritual inner teacher. The Hebrew word for it is Magid, inside you, that you can go to at any time, that you need guidance or advice, right? But you have to go to it to receive it. So what does it mean to go to it? It means to turn around like these monks are and face within. This teacher is inside of you. Now, I did 2 courses on this platform on the tarot. One that goes into every symbol of the card, of each card, and then another one that we just completed, which goes into meditations using the tarot for cosmic consciousness and a life that works perfectly. So what happens, that development of those 14 generations 3 times, is the awakening within you of the inner voice, the inner teacher that is there to guide you. You always have access. This is the law of the light. You always have access to true higher wisdom. What blocks that aspect, that access, is automatic emotional reacting, is getting stuck in emotional states, is a mind that's just too busy. In order to receive the inner light, the guidance of your inner teacher, there must be inner stillness, calmness, tranquility. That's what renders you Mary, to give birth to that Christ. Okay. Now the word, the word, the name of this card gives us a tremendous key to the whole process, and that's temperance. So what does temperance mean? So temperance is how you're going to get to having your inner voice guide you at all times, in all things. So temperance just means measured, not doing too much, right? Maintaining your balance in all things. If you're having a question of what should I do, go the middle way. Don't go to any extremes. Maintain your balance in all things, right? Watch how much thinking you're doing, how much emoting you're doing, how much speaking, how much action. Temper it all. Come down into balance. And balance is when you have access to the inner voice, the inner teacher. As you live in a kind of a gentleness, the gentleness of temperance in everything, as you temper everything you do, you alchemize your physical body so you can receive higher frequencies, and you alchemize your personality so it becomes a conduit instrument through which the Christ, the divine self, works. The global influence of your individual alchemy raises the human race toward the fulfillment of its Christ purpose and potential for more peace, harmony, healing, and love on the earth. As we go through this process, the whole world is being transformed into a more heavenly kingdom. Your life is becoming more heavenly, and the world is becoming more heavenly. So, one of the principles we see in the story of the birth of the Christ is a very strange concept called the virgin birth, right? And that's what really messes with Joseph in the story, right? Joseph is married to Mary, and all of a sudden, they find out that Mary's pregnant, and even though they're married, they both know they haven't had sex yet. Now, it was a strange situation for Joseph to be in, as well as for Mary to be in, right? So what does the virgin birth mean? The virgin birth represents the purified psyche, the purified personality. And let's look at what that purification process means. The basic meaning of the purification process is freedom from suffering, emotional suffering. All emotional suffering is self-imposed. When you feel angry or depressed or insecure, resentful, envious, disrespected, all forms of emotional suffering are self-imposed. And what they do is they lower your vibration. So the purification process is releasing ourselves from emotional suffering. which also means releasing our mind from the kind of thinking that triggers emotional suffering. Just got to let the dog out. And you'll see how the animals play a role in this story. And typically when I get into a class, the dogs start acting up a little bit. But they're not going to dissuade us from getting into the light. No, sirree. I think maybe he just was reacted to that cat. So anyway, he's a beagle. He can smell. So, so the purification process, that's why Mary was able to receive this Christ energy. The Christ energy that she receives is her own Christhood. It's like when you first woke up one day and you discovered you had a kind of a spiritual urge. You suddenly weren't like the other people in your family, most likely. You certainly weren't like your neighbors or your friends. You started having this interest in spiritual stuff. You started to have a different kind of impact. You can show a certain book to the average person. They go, okay, that's a book. You could look at that book and say, oh, wow, that really speaks to me. That really lifts me up. I want to read that voraciously, hungrily. You're feasting on the light, right? That's the shift. That's what Mary discovers. When she discovers she's pregnant, it's you discovering that you're pregnant with the Christos. That's what's happening to you tonight. That's what Christmas is all about. You're awakening to the miracle of the emergence of your true being. You're being set free from the chains of emotional suffering. So we use a process that I teach in my work called the method, which is a way of liberating yourself from emotional suffering. You'll find it on YouTube. If you like, you can always, where are the notes here? You can always, oh, it's not opening there. Okay. But you can always reach me at bob@boblancer.com, or you can go to my website, boblancer.com, to learn about the method, to purify, to free yourself, liberate yourself from emotional suffering. So the virgin birth is the purified psyche. No negative thinking, not thinking about what you don't want. You're living in a balanced, harmonious, emotional state of perfect equanimity at all times. Nothing is disturbing your inner peace. Now that's achievable. That's what I teach people how to do. That's achievable. And as you live in that state of just being unruffled by daily living, you make that your primary aim, right? Just being unruffled, but in daily living, no matter what comes at you, you're maintaining your calm, you're maintaining your center, you're maintaining your peace. You're watching your thoughts. You're not engaging in thinking that disturbs you. You're not thinking about what you don't want to be bringing about, because every one of your thoughts is creative. Doesn't matter what your economic situation is. What matters is how you think about your economic situation, how you think about yourself. You drop limiting thoughts about yourself. You don't think of yourself as a limited human being, inadequate, incapable, not good enough. No, you let go of those kind of thoughts and you accept and open yourself to the experience of your own divine nature. You're clearing your thoughts of limiting negative thoughts. You're clearing your state of negative limiting emotions. You're not getting all excited about something. You're not getting all disappointed about something, because you're truly content and fulfilled in a harmonious state in the present moment. That's psychic purity. Essentially, what that comes down to is overcoming your automatic patterns. No one grows automatically. Your growth, your true self-development, as you grow, as you develop, your life goes higher. Your true self-development is about overcoming your automatic patterns, right? So let's say you're walking through the day and you're doing your stuff during the day, and all day long, there's this little stream of consciousness, this little movies about your life story. And you're thinking about this person, and you're thinking about that situation, and you're worrying about that kind of thing. And that's automatic. That's your automatic thought patterns that you have to overcome. Because when you're living automatically, you keep repeating the same old cycles, the same old life. When you overcome your automatic patterns, you're stepping forward and you're moving into a new and higher life. All of your emotional reactions are automatic. If someone says something to you and you feel insulted, you don't think about feeling insulted before you feel insulted. It just happens. Boom. It's an automatic reaction pattern. As you practice freeing yourself consciously throughout the day, daily living, freeing yourself from your automatic patterns so that you can calmly, consciously tune into wisdom, tune into your spiritual inner teacher. How should I respond to this? What should I, instead of driving your car with your mind thinking, you stop and say, wait a minute, what should I be thinking about right now? What should I be placing my attention on right now? Right? The purpose of the mind is not to torment you. If you're thinking thoughts that hurt your feelings, it's self-abuse. It lowers the vibration. It lets those lower drives come in and take over and brings us into a lower vibrating life of difficulty and strain and opposition and could even go into violence. But as you free yourself from your automatic patterns to respond consciously, selectively, based on what feels right to you, not just feels right superficially, but feels truly right and aligned and in harmony with your being. Now what happens is you're giving birth to the Christos. You're giving birth to the divine being. You've got to master your psychic forces of thought and emotion. They can't run you. As long as they run you, they run your life in circles. As you step back and make conscious choices about everything, like words. Some people have huge reactions to words. Like a lot of people will say, gee, Bob, I wish you wouldn't use the word God. I have all these reactions to the word God. If any word can make you react, you're a slave to your own painful reactions. And anyone who can use that word is dominating you, can control your reaction, how you respond emotionally. Every thought you think is what you're doing with your power. And if someone can make you react, they're taking over your power. So to practice being non-react, that's the purified state. To be able to go through a situation that in the past would cause you to feel angry or frustrated or insecure, and you're at peace. And you're just noticing, what's the right way to go? How should I feel? How should I think? Should I speak? Should I go into silence? How to function in this moment. That's the freedom that we get. That's the freedom we get through the practice of the method. It's the freedom you get just through the practice of non-reactivity in daily living. We use the method when we can't get out of a reaction state. We also use something called the temple meditation, which I'm going to guide you through at the end of this class. So the purified state is the seedbed for the Christos, which is the higher influence that takes you into higher levels of grace, miracles, wisdom, healing, abundance, and your heavenly dreams coming true. And as you proceed along this path, you actually experience your life as an increasingly heavenly experience, where you discover that everything your heart desired is coming to you. And it's all coming without effort. You're applying yourself, but it's fun. It's actually fun to watch your thoughts and to let go of negative thoughts. It's actually fun to practice maintaining your peace and poise, no matter what you're going through. It's fun to make this. It's fun to practice just being aware of what you're thinking and what you're feeling in the present moment and how you're functioning. One of the things that's really essential in how we function is to eliminate all rush. As soon as you're rushing, you're giving power outside of you, right? You're saying, well, I've got to rush or else that's going to happen or they're going to be mad or that. No, what happens when you rush is you go into stress, you go into anxiety, and that shuts down the vibration of the Christos. And that means your life is actually going down to a lower level, even though you're pushing so hard to make things better, it's actually either stuck or going down to a lower level through that rush. You make sure you give yourself plenty of time to do whatever you're going to do so you can do it in a calm, conscious, conscientious, orderly way without rush. You don't create a schedule that you have to rush to get to. Now, some people say, but Bob, it's easy to say, but I have a job and I have a boss and I have timelines. No, no. You'll find that as you live at a higher vibration, it just magically works out. And when you live at a lower vibration, no matter how hard you're trying to please people, no one's ever satisfied. It's never good enough. It doesn't work. Okay. Now, it's important to understand that we have to be in this process, what I'm describing to you, for the long term. It's very easy to pick up a teaching and practice it for 6 months and expect that, you're going to be completely enlightened and everything's going to be, hunky-dory for the rest of eternity after 6 months. And when that doesn't happen, you kind of get lazy and you go back to your old ways. The spiritual growth process is forever. It always takes will and discipline to free yourself from the automatic to go to the next level. The longer you stay in this, so the people that I work with individuals for years. There's some I've worked with for decades because it's a constant process of going to the next step and recognizing the automatic pattern that you have to overcome. Now, in the story, so we have Joseph and Mary represent two aspects of you. In the story, Joseph is guided by an angel to take care of Mary. What does that mean? First of all, it means Joseph represents your ability to recognize how to care for yourself spiritually. You have the capacity to care for yourself spiritually. So what might that mean? Well, if you're pushing too hard and you're getting tired and you're getting run down, you're going down. You're going down to a lower level. You gotta make sure you get all the rest you need. You got to make sure you're not wasting energy in daily living. If you're having a strong emotional reaction, you're dumping a lot of energy. That means you won't have energy later to handle what has to be handled. In order to live at a higher state of consciousness, right, where you're aware of how you're functioning and you're connected to the higher level and guided by wisdom, you have to be well rested. You can't push when you're tired. You start living, moving your life to the balance life. And if you say, Bob, I can't do it, right? Well, you have to remember, you're a divine being. Whatever you want to accomplish, you can manifest it. If you want to create a life without rush, start contemplating it. Start visualizing it. Start thinking about it. Start feeling like it's happening already, and it starts to manifest. There's no challenge in your life that you don't have the power to overcome. You can create whatever situation you want to create in your consciousness, but you've got to have command. If you're busy reacting to someone that said something to you an hour ago, that's where all your creative energy is going. That's lowering you spiritually. You can feel it. You can actually be hungover after an experience like that. Feel hungover. You let it go. You're living in peace. You can feel, oh, if I connect with this person, it feels spiritually uplifting. If I connect with this person, it feels spiritually down. If someone says, let's go out to a movie. You say, well, I'm thinking about going out to the movie. I don't know. I've been out running around all day. I feel like what I need tonight is to just be home and to be in solitude and to meditate and to come. I feel that's what my soul needs. So Joseph represents your ability to know what your soul needs and to do it, even though it might displease your mother or your brother or your neighbor or your friend, right? But when you're following the true path, and listen closely because I don't want you to misconstrue this, you never, ever, ever go out of your way to help anybody. You help everybody in your own way. But if you go out of your way, you're transgressing your own boundaries. The word sin just means missing the mark. You're missing the mark of your true path. See, each one of us is an individual structure, and we have to live in a unique way to experience our unique happiness. And the only way to find that way is to feel that way, is through your feelings. As you live in your feelings, you awaken to what you need to do to empower yourself, to boost yourself up, and what you need to avoid to lower yourself. So Joseph is told to take in Mary, right? And they have to go into hiding. So in the story, they're going into hiding because she's pregnant. They haven't been together. They haven't had intercourse. So technically, she would be perceived. If anybody said, Joseph, your wife is pregnant, congratulations. And he would have to say, well, it wasn't me. In those days, she'd be stoned as an adulteress. He literally has to protect her life to go into hiding while she's pregnant because he can't lie. He's a godly person. He doesn't feel he can lie. He has to tell the truth. So they go into hiding. They go into Egypt, which means darkness, hiding, a place of hiding. Now you have to do the same thing. As your spiritual nature starts to develop, if you just start standing on the rooftop and shouting out to everybody, I am the Christ, they're going to put you away, right? You have to be careful who you talk to, who you share your interests with. A lot of people won't get it. More and more people are getting it now in the world, but a lot of people won't. They'll think you're a wacky-do, right? So you have to go into hiding and give that new spiritual being, that true self that you're becoming, some time to incubate. I know when I first started out on the path, working with my teacher at the age of 21, I went 3 years without any contact with my family or my friends of the past because I had to find myself. I felt that the projections of the people who knew me were so strong that I was being programmed by them. I needed distance from them. I needed to hide out. I went into a kind of a hermit situation. I still was in the world. I didn't go to some mountaintop, but I didn't connect with anybody for 3 years to really get a sense of that inner impulse that tells me, this is me. This is who I truly am. This is my true path. So that's what the hiding is about in the story, why Mary goes into hiding. See if we have this image here. So what we have in the story, there are basically, at the beginning of the story, there are basically three characters. There's Mary, there's Joseph, and there's the angel that guides Joseph in taking care of Mary. And that's pictured in the Tarot by this image here. You have Joseph, and if you look closely, he's looking out, card 6 in the Tarot, the lovers. He's looking out at the world. You have Mary, and she's looking up. The soul is looking up to receive the influence of the higher guardian angel that's coming in, the influence of the Christos that's coming into her. Now, there comes a point where Joseph is told the name of the Christ seed in Mary, right? Now, remember, you're Mary. You right now contain this Christ seed of your own divine being. And you're Joseph. Joseph may have been what guided you to take this class tonight. How to take care of your spiritual being, how to nurture it, how to feed it so that it grows stronger and stronger, so that it can be out in the world and not be conquered by the world. It could be in the world, but not of the world. It can rule the world. The Christ is the king. Your Christ self rules your world, right? When you connect with the consciousness of what you want to create, you're ruling the world. Right now, imagine yourself being totally abundant financially. Just try to feel it as real. Right now, imagine yourself being an absolutely beautiful, harmonious relationship that truly, truly fulfills you. Try to go into that feeling state. Imagine yourself serving a truly sacred cosmic purpose in the world, contributing just by your being, that you're contributing to the world's evolution into a higher state. That's using your creative power. That's the Christ in you. That's the divine in you. That's how you create. And you're learning how to master that process so that, let's say somebody you love passes away. You don't go into feeling loss and grief, maybe for a little bit. Then you do the method to get out of it. And then where do you go? Well, what do I want to create? There's a new life here, and there's no limits to what it can be. And how can I make this new life so incredible, so wonderful, so beautiful, so fulfilling? There is no sense of loss. And if I'm thinking about the one who departed, what am I imagining? Am I imagining them sad and missing me and lost? No, what kind of life could they be stepping into? Let me open my consciousness to the limitless beauty and glory that is possible, because everything is possible to you. And as you open your consciousness to the positive, you start to expand and you start to experience those vibrations, and higher things start to manifest in your life. And then someone comes over and they tell you something and you feel disrespected, and it all goes zoop, back down. Or maybe you work too hard, or you rush too much, you get into anxiety, right? And it all goes back down. So you're learning to stabilize in the higher state. So Joseph is told the name of the Christ seed, which is Jesus, which means reality liberates. It can also be interpreted to mean Savior. And so when you start living free, when I received the method, I felt like I'd been saved, because you don't have to live in suffering anymore. It's not necessary. You have to go through the process necessary to let it go, because we become so attached to it and so accustomed to it that we think it's the only way to live. Or we mistakenly think that someone else is making me feel bad, or some situation is making me feel bad. And we confuse ourselves with statements like, well, that's too bad. Oh, that's unfortunate. That's sad. That's stressful. There's no such thing as a stressful situation. There's only a stressful reaction to your situation. What makes it bad? What you believe about it, right? Oh, his girlfriend left him. They were engaged, and she didn't show up at the wedding. He said, oh, that's terrible. Why is that terrible? That's wonderful. It gives them an opportunity to see all those automatic reaction patterns. It gives them an opportunity to master the creative process and to create a life so magnificent, to take all that energy that was going to go into grief and sadness and loss and turn it into a creative process that brings heaven on earth to him and everybody he loves. What's wrong with that? Nothing. The only thing that makes a situation bad is what you believe about it, and your beliefs are unfounded. The universe is a perfect system. It's the Father. It's guided by absolute love. Now, you can point to all kinds of things and say, well, that's imperfect, and that's wrong, and that's bad. And you can live in that consciousness. Or you can understand that everything everyone goes through is a reflection of their level of vibration, their level of consciousnness. And if you live in that vibration and you resonate to those things as if they're tragedies, you're going to have one too. But you can come out, as it says, as Jesus says in the Bible, come out from among them and be therefore separate. Be in the world, but not of the world. Everybody is going through the exact experience they need for the nurturing and the awakening of the divine in them. Merry Christmas. Every single experience is a Christmas gift to everyone who gets it, no matter how much it hurts. Because no matter how much it hurts, that's how much you're hurting yourself over it. You could go back to the most difficult experiences you've had in life. And if you look at what really made them difficult and painful, it was how you were reacting to it within. You felt ashamed, or you felt belittled, or you felt ignored, or you felt rejected. Those are states of consciousness. Those are ways Those are states that you put yourself in. You learn to do it. It's not your fault. You learn to do it. You came in to do it so you can learn that it doesn't work. But all of the suffering from any relationship you've been through, any experience you've been through, was how you reacted to it. How you react to a situation is what you're doing to yourself about it. And that's the automatic patterns to shift into love. So all you do is function in a loving way towards yourself. You don't put yourself down. You don't berate yourself. You don't feel ashamed. You don't feel fear of failure. You don't put yourself into a state of suffering. So everything that happens is a Merry Christmas. The ability, the opportunity to purify your psyche so that the Christ child can be born and emerge in you, your own true divine nature, awakening to the heavenly nature of your life, where every one of your amazing, wonderful dreams come true. Your whole life, your destiny is designed by your heart's desires. God is love. God knows what you want before you want. It's already set up. But you got to get into alignment with it. Because if you're living a life as if you're going through a tragedy, it's not true. You're just going through an opening into a greater life experience, a greater opportunity. The purification process is to align with the cosmic process so that whatever comes your way, you hit a red light, okay, you can get frustrated. That can make you physically ill. That'll lower your vibration. You can get anxious. You can start worrying about being late for the meeting. That'll torture you and torment you and lower your vibration. You can say, let me use this. Let me go to my inner teacher. How should I respond? If everything's perfect, what's the problem? And then you find out, you get to the meeting 10 minutes late, only to find out that the meeting was canceled anyway. And you were going to rush and get anxious for nothing. It all works perfectly. And we're going into the state of consciousness to realize that. Right? And the way we get to that state of consciousness, from my experience, is working with someone who's there. Because no one can take you where they're not. A lot of people are trying to go into coaching but if you look at, it's all about marketing. But they tell you do this, do that, but in their own personal lives, they're falling apart. Doesn't work that way. As you become a more God-realized being, which is what the birth of the Christ is all about, everybody's uplifted by your energy. You don't have to sell anything, just be. Everybody's uplifted by your energy. And they want to connect it, tune into it to get that lift until you can fly on your own. So I'm like training wheels for people who are working free of their suffering. From the minute I wake up in the morning to the minute I go to sleep at night, I'm in bliss. It's been happening now for a solid 10 years, ever since I got the method. You don't have to get upset. There's nothing going wrong. You're totally, totally safe. You are 100% safe, always. And all the worry is because you were raised by a worrier who taught you to worry. And it's not what you worried about that's the problem. It's the worry that lowers the vibration. So we're clearing out of all that. That's Mary. So we're also told in that same, it's almost like the same paragraph, maybe the next paragraph, that Jesus is also referred to as Emmanuel. The word Emmanuel is also Greek, and it means God is here, right? So this stirring within you, this spiritual stirring within you, this urge to mastery, to be free of your suffering, to live in the light of the heavenly consciousness, this stirring within you is God here. Emmanuel, God is here. You are God. Now, you can think there's a separation between the two of you. So, oh, that's egotistical. But you don't have to take it egotistically. Try to feel it now. Try to experience it now in your feelings. your oneness with the divine. So that it's not even with the divine. It really should be described as oneness as the divine. Don't imagine a separation between you and God. Don't imagine a differentiation. Your heart longs for oneness with the divinity. Follow your heart. Open your heart. Give up your resistance. Maybe you're afraid you're going to get hurt again. Just try to have faith in it. Try one more time to feel oneness with the divine. You are infinite. You are infinite knowing. You are infinite being. You are eternal. You are ageless. Your body may age, but you're not your body. Your body is your pet. Your body is your vehicle. Your body is your car. Take care of it. It's going to come a time when it's time to let it go, to get a new one. And the new one will be better than the old one. It'll be fine. Let yourself live in the divine presence. That's what Emmanuel means. And what Mary is realizing, what Joseph is realizing, is that this is the divine emerging in you. That's the spiritual growth process. God emerging out of you as you, until one day, it may now seem like it's a billion years in the future or a billion lifetimes in the future, but when it happens, it's going to be like just a blink of an eye, and there's the divine, and here you are in all your full glory. Now, also, interestingly enough, Joseph is told by the angel that this is meant to be, that the Christ within Mary was prophesied. It's a prophecy, the fulfillment of a prophecy. What is the meaning of that? The code. It means that that is the way it's all set up for you. The prophecy is the Christ to be born as you, for you to be born as the Christ, for your divine self to emerge fully. It's meant to be. It's guaranteed. There's nothing going to stop it. If it doesn't happen this life, it'll happen next life. If it happened this life, it'll happen next life earlier, and you'll go even further. It is destined to be. Everything that happens to you is your Christmas gift to give you the opportunity to develop mastery within the context of that situation. Christ is the master, mastering your energy, mastering your power. You don't need more power. You just need to use your power more consciously, more conscientiously. Everything you say, think, feel, and do is what you're doing with your power. As you improve what you're doing with your power, you improve everything in your life, goes up to a higher level, grace takes place, higher vibrations rule all circumstances in your life, and everything gets better. And as you continue, it gets better. And as you continue, it gets better. And the better it gets, in some ways, the more challenging it is. A lot of people, when they start to awaken to this process, they fall off the wagon because they get so caught up in all the good stuff they've manifested. They have a great job, they have a great car, they have a great spouse, they have great kids, they have a great wardrobe, they have a great house, and they start getting all caught up in keeping all that stuff going. And they forget to leave room for the Christ. How did it all happen? Not by attachment, by letting go. By allowing their energy to rise to a higher vibration, by living in peace and harmony. The more you have to lose. And when you're free from attachment, you just keep getting more and more because the universe wants to challenge you. Oh yeah, you're unattached to that? Well, how about this wonderful thing that you've always wanted? Let's see you let go of that one. And then it gives you another one. And that's the game. That's the fun game. Is letting it get better and better and better and better without worrying that you're going to lose it. Oh, you find the love of your life. Oh my God, I hope this person doesn't leave me. No, go, go, go. You want to go, 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 go. Relationships are like buses. There's always another one coming, right? Go, have a blast. I'll do the method. I'll free myself from grief. I'll open up to the infinite possibilities. And wow, the next one that comes is amazing that you have to also let go of. And it just goes up and up and up and up as you allow your vibrations to rise and live in your joy song instead of misery and fear and frustration. You're letting the negative go, the purified psyche. Now, so it's all prophesied. This is meant to be. It's all going to happen. It's just how much you cooperate with it, that determines how quick it happens for you. The next part of the story is we have wise men come from the east in search of the baby Jesus. So why do they come from the east? East is where the sun rises. It represents the dawning of the light. So what happens is they're following a spiritual light to find the Christ. To you follow your own spiritual light into Christhood. The light that guides you, your own star. In the Tarot, it's symbolized with this image. It's called the star. It's meditation. Here's the star. So when you go into meditation, right, you kind of clear out what's going on inside and try to connect with your own inner spiritual guidance. And that's what leads you to the Christ, the star of your true destiny. Card 17 in the Tarot is called the star. So these men, these three wise men, we'll talk about the number 3 here and the wise aspect of it, follow the star to the baby Jesus, which represents you trying to get a sense now and try to do it now. What is your true destiny? Try to feel your true path in the now. Try to feel it. That's the meditation that's represented by the 3 wise men coming from the east. Try to feel it, not intellectualize it. It's a feeling of your own authentic, true path. What you're doing now is connecting with it. Even if you don't feel it clearly, you're getting there. You're actually on that journey just by looking for it. In Kabbalah, it says the first purpose of life is to discover the purpose of life. You're discovering your own true self by going into meditation to get a sense of your true, authentic way. Now, the 3 wise men bring gifts to the baby Jesus. What are the gifts they bring? Your gifts and talents are to be turned over to your spiritual nature, so that you're not just using your gifts and talents to go to work to make a lot of money. That's fine, if that's the game you want to play. But if you also use your gifts and talents and turn it over to make sure you're following your true spiritual purpose, now you're following the 3 wise men. You're giving your gifts and talents to the budding Christos. And thus the Christos develops. Now, the 3 wise men can be interpreted as the physical, the personality, and the true soul, the Christ, or in even more mundane terms, and this takes us really clearly and practically into the purification process, thoughts, feelings, and actions. So your thoughts, feelings, and actions are guided now by your sense of empowerment, upliftment. If I do this, does it feel like it's raising my energy? You know, my teacher used to say, when the sun goes down, don't just answer your phone randomly, because that's when the vampires come out, right? So when the sun is down, your subconscious is open, you're tired, people call up with their drama, and you'll get sucked into it, and it'll just tear down all your energy. So the 3 wise men are giving thoughts, feelings, and actions over to the developing Christ, over to the feeling of your own energy empowerment. If it's like Christ says at some point, he says, I come to bring you life more abundant. Every choice you make has to be life-giving. If it feels like it's deadening, you get invited to go to a Christmas party, and you know all these people, and you know what they're into, and it's not really anything meaningful, and you think about going, and it's just like, oh, it just feels deadening. Well, maybe if I drink enough, it'll be okay, right? Or if there's another opportunity you have, maybe to just spend, an evening with just one friend, and you light a candle and you can get close to the divine, and you can have a little bit of a drink, and you can celebrate and talk about all the miracles that you've had this year and all the miracles you're going to have next year. And you have an uplifting, spiritually uplifting experience. Thoughts, feelings, and actions. Your choice of what you say, think, feel, and do affects your energy level, raises your vibration or lowers it. And the Joseph in you has the capacity to tell the difference. Okay. Now here's an interesting aspect. So there's when they're looking for shelter, when Joseph and Mary are looking for shelter, there's no room at the inn, which is another way of saying they don't fit into the in crowd. There's no room at the inn. So one of the meanings of that is that if you go over to a person, and let's say he's like in the corporate world and he's making, $1.5 million a year, and he's going to Dubai on vacations with his wife, and they're all dressed in the finest clothing, and they all take the highest level psychiatric medication, and they're, driving the nicest car, and they're going to the nicest places. There's no room for God there. There's no room for the Christ. They don't need it. Usually people go to the spiritual path when they're on empty, and they've tried everything else. They can't get the healing. They can't get the relationship. They can't get the money. They're struggling. They're desperate. They're at the end of their rope. They're at the bottom of the well. And that's when they really start to open up to receive a higher inner dimension, because the world just doesn't work for them. Now, sooner or later, every human being is destined for that experience. They realize that all the stuff they're trying to get, and all the status, and all the money, and the things, and the people, and the possessions, all that stuff that they're trying to get, it doesn't work. Either they don't wind up getting it, or they get it and they lose it, or they get it and they're still completely feeling empty and meaningless, and their life makes no sense. So no room at the inn. Where is their room? Where does she finally give birth to Jesus? In a stable, in a barn. They're going down to the lowest level of human existence to bring the Christ into the world. They have to humble themselves, right? And so there comes a point in our lifetime when we look at our life and we feel like a complete failure. We say, this is not where I expected to be at this point. Everything I wanted, I either didn't get or I hadn't lost. And you look at your life and it looks like a complete failure. And you feel like a complete failure, ashamed. Like you haven't done anything. And everybody else is successful, but not you. You get to the very bottom of your well. That's the ego collapse. And when you get down there and you say, okay, so I'm going to let go of all that stuff. I can't count on the world. I can't count on the world to give me what I want. What can I count on? And as you stay there and persevere in your quest at the bottom of the well, you experience what Joseph Campbell, the great mythologist, used to say, find your treasure where you fall. And there at the bottom, when I was at the very, very bottom of my life, the absolute nadir, the bottom of the bottom, if it went any lower, there's no way I would have went any further in this incarnation. That's when I was given the method. And boom, I went from my lowest low to a high in consciousness that's beyond belief. And my life, and my teacher at that time told me, who gave me the message, said, your life is going to be beyond anything you can believe right now. You can't even imagine how incredible it's going to be. It's like you've been born into a whole nother universe. And it's true. But I had to go down to the bottom. That's what the manger represents. Christ being born in the barn. It's if your life is working and everything's going great and you walk around feeling like hot stuff, no, there's no need for God. You start talking to people about this stuff, they'll say, oh man, I don't need it. I got it all together. I'm there. just wait. Because the world doesn't come through for them. Doesn't come through for anybody. It's not meant to come through. It's just a reflection of your level of consciousness. And once you go through the Christ transformation, the transformation of your own spiritual being, then you find the world just keeps, all the world does is come through for you. You just get more and more and more. And you let it go, and it turns into more and more. And let it go, turns into more and more and more and more. And it's a beautiful heavenly experience on Earth. You discover that the planet Earth is a heavenly planet, that you're already in heaven. You're on the other side. You've already crossed over. And life is designed to give you everything your heart desires. As you align yourself energetically with that reality, it starts to manifest. Now, a manger is also symbolical of the fact that that's where animals feed, right? So the animals represent the lower psychic forces, the lower drives, the unpurified personality, the anger, the fear. In Tarot, let's see if I can find the card quickly. Right? It's where the animals are fed. And what happens is we're here to transmute, this is Mary, to transmute the animal nature into a divine nature. That infinity sign above her head in card 8 represents the divine unfoldment. So the animal, tomorrow, right? If not tonight, as you think about this class that you've been in and you engage in the activities of tomorrow, you're going to get to see a lot of the animals. Anger, frustration, negative thinking, worry, rush, push, desire to get even, those are the animals that feed. And as you free yourself from those lower reactionary patterns, as you maintain your peace and poise and gentleness in daily living, the energy then goes from the animals into the Christ child to feed the Christos within you, to feed your own spiritual upliftment in you. Another aspect that we have in the story is we have John the Baptist. Okay, so John the Baptist, this is after Christ is born, right? And then Christ goes and he meets John the Baptist, and John the Baptist says to everybody, "I baptize thee with water, but one comes after me who will baptize thee with fire." So the baptism by water, right, is all of your emotional suffering, the tears, right? Cleansing yourself, freeing yourself from the emotional patterns that cause you suffering. That's what you want to take note of right now. To cleanse and free yourself from the emotional patterns that cause you suffering. That's what it means to be baptized with water. To be cleansed of the emotional patterns, the automatic emotional patterns that take you out of joy, that take you out of peace, that take you out of love, that take you out of faith. The baptism by fire, right? So the baptism by fire, how does Christ baptize with fire? It's the fire of the passion of the Holy Ghost, the Holy Spirit, that higher energy that streams through, that the anointing, that when you come in contact with the anointing, when you read a certain book, little scripture, and you get ignited by what you're reading, or you hear a talk, you're ignited, or maybe even in this class right now, as you're in it with me, you're feeling the ignition that I'm feeling, being ignited by this spirit. That's the baptism by fire. And it says in the Bible, when the fire is kindled, who can put it out? Nobody. Once this fire is kindled in you, you want to go all the way with it. You can taste liberation is coming, and you want to taste of it. You want to eat it. You want to be it. You want to be free. And that gives you the power and the drive to be free. Another thing that happens in the story is the temptation of Christ. So after he passes through the baptism of water, and he's demonstrated some miracles, and that's what you're going to demonstrate. Miracles, just as you live in your harmonious state, When you live in grace, grace comes in to take care of and support you. And as the miracles come in, Christ goes through a temptation. The devil says, I can make you king of the world. You can be the richest person in the world. You can dominate everybody. You can be in charge. You can be famous. You can have everybody just praising you. You can use this power to gain worldly influence. And that's a temptation for anyone who evolves these higher powers, where you learn how to use your consciousness to create what you want. You can choose how you respond to circumstances. You know how to program other people because you know how to deprogram yourself. And you can misuse all that for the ego. And that becomes a test, that becomes a challenge. Someone will come over to you, offer you a contract, offer you a deal, offer you this, offer you that. And it's lucrative, it's great, but it's off the path. It disconnects you from the humble state of being one with the Father. The humility is to realize that there's something higher working through me. It's not me. I'm just being able to be open up to allow this thing to flow. As soon as I take it personally, it stops. The same thing in you. You don't take anything personally. Praise is just a setup. The ancient Greeks had a saying, whom the gods would destroy, they first make popular to the crowd. You're not going to take anything personal. It's not us. I and the Father are one. You're learning how to allow this anointment to come through you. This energy to come through you, this energy of grace that comes through you, lifts you up, lifts up everybody around you, lifts up your circumstances, and lifts up the world. And that's how you end war. Not by protesting to try to make someone else change their behavior. It's by bringing more peace and more harmony and more love and more divinity into the world through you. And then it flows everywhere and raises the whole world to a higher level, and things just magically work out. And that's what you're going to see happening in the world. Everything just magically works out. And for you, it'll work out faster and faster. So you pass through your temptations to not take it personally. What do you mean talking to me like that? I'm Christ. I'm God. Do you know what I can do? No, you don't go into that. Take nothing personal. That humbleness to allow something higher to work through you that you can feel. You can work with that anointment. You can learn how to live in that anointment, in the anointment of the Holy Spirit, the anointment of the Christos. You can live in it, in your feelings. So all day long, what is the discipline? Feel. People say, well, I don't know what I feel. Okay, that's a feeling too. That's fine. Just keep feeling. Try that now. Take your attention and bring it down from the head into the body and just feel. If you start to think, take your attention back to the body and just feel. Just feel your feelings. The more you practice this simple exercise, the deeper you go into the higher frequencies of feeling until you awaken to the Christos. Just feel. Your feelings are your true intuitive guide in any situation. You don't know what to do? Don't try to make a decision. The reality is we don't make decisions. We receive a decision. And to receive a decision, your mind must be still and you're focused on feelings. Aha, that feels right. Okay, now, next part of the story is Jesus is betrayed by a kiss by someone named Judas. So the word Judas means praise. Right? So here we go to the personal level, praise. Right? So being flattered feels like a sweet kiss, but it's a setup. People will manipulate you. Your true GPS in life is not other people's approval. If you're looking for someone else's approval, you're lost. Because that's not your true guide. Your true guide might lead to other people's disapproval, but you don't care because you know it's the right thing to do. When I used to teach conscious parenting classes, one of the things I would emphasize is don't raise your kids to do as they're told. Raise your kids to be able to make the right decision, even when there's someone there telling them the wrong thing to do, which society usually does. Society says, get a job, work hard to earn a living. BS. No. Follow your true path. Give your gifts and talents to your spiritual development. Follow your joy, and you'll find it works out perfectly. What do schools prepare kids to do? It teaches them how to be bored for 8 hours a day. Right? So they can go to work for peanuts and live in debt and feel crushed by that. No. You don't have to work hard for a living. You don't have to work hard. It's exactly the opposite. You have to enjoy each moment. You have to work in a way that feels like rest and play. No stress, no pressure, just focused relaxation. The joy of doing good work. That's what it's about. Right? So the name Judas means praise. So the soldiers come around them, and the plan is Judas sets it up so he can get some money. He says, okay, I'll kiss Jesus so you know who he is. So Judas comes over, gives Jesus a kiss on the cheek, and Jesus says, Judas, you betrayed me with a kiss. Right? Now, in one sense, it's a betrayal because he's kissing Judas, an act of love, for him to be arrested and crucified. But in another sense, it is a kiss because the crucifixion, as you'll see soon, represented by this image, the crucifixion is actually the ultimate opportunity for the liberation of Jesus, for the Christ to be born eternally God. It's an opportunity. It's not a tragedy. It's destined. It's what he wants. It's what we all want. We all want to be free. And I'm going to show you how to go through the crucifixion, but what that means is really how to triumph over illness, pain, and death. So how do we do it? It's really simple, but it requires deliberate practice. Whenever you're feeling ill or pain, or when the time comes and you're facing death, but for right now, whenever you're going through an illness, COVID, whatever it is, or going through a physical injury, physical pain, maintain your emotional harmony. You're not sick. The body gets sick. The pet gets sick. The horse that I'm riding, that can get sick. And I calm it and I soothe it and I take care of it and I give it soup, right? To calm it. But I'm not sick. You're not sick. Just like you're not old, you're not young, you're ageless, you're eternal. Your body is in a certain place, right? But that's just to give you the soul the experience it needs right now for its purification, for your spiritual purification, your personality, your psychic purification. So when you're going through physical distress of any kind, practice going through it with complete emotional equanimity, complete peace and harmony. And also practice going through it with a quiet mind. Without imagining, oh my God, this must be cancer. Right? Without going through the thoughts of these doctors, you got cancer. So, oh, wow. Oh my goodness. That's a word. Right? We practice being non-reactive to words, because as soon as we react, we're going down in vibration. We're giving power away from the Christ within us, from the divine creator within us. Your divine creator within you is your capacity to create whatever reality you desire. You can create the whole universe. You already are. You're just not doing it consciously. So to go through it with perfect equanimity turns that crucifixion. So what does the crucifixion represent? The cross. So the cross that Jesus is crucified, it's not an equal arm cross. The horizontal bar is raised above the midpoint of the vertical bar, which means raising the world to a higher vibration, living in the world at a higher vibration. That's what it represents. Raising the bar, raising the world. This represents the world. This is the spiritual dimension, raising the world up past the midpoint to a higher elevation, to a higher vibration, where all of your problems are solved and all of your dreams are fulfilled. And it all happens in beautiful grace. Well, that's it. All we've got left is to do our final closing meditation. And so I know we do have well over 100 people registered for this. I don't know how many people are just on their phones or going to listen to it later. But for the folks here, would anybody like to share some feedback on how this event has gone for you this evening before we go into our final meditation and I give you just a quick little summary of the class? So how about if we start with Kathleen? Could you unmute yourself and
This was an awesome presentation. I really got a lot out of it. I love how you went through it's Merry Christmas, M-A-R-I, and that takes it to a whole nother level for me. And to really get in touch with my feelings, and that will clear emotions away. And there's so much here. I have to go back over my notes, but you captured my attention the whole time, and I'm taking it in and I'm going to use it and not be I'm going to try my best. I will, to not be reactive to what other people say and their words staying within me, because I am the Christo, and then my vibrations will stay there. So thank you.
Right. Thank you. Thank you. And I see in our notes, we got someone from Sydney, Australia, who had to leave at 8:20 because it's the middle of the afternoon there. So it's nice to be all over the world. I know we're in Norway and other places. So let's go to, I'm going to start with the folks that I haven't ever spoken to before. Laura, have you and I worked together before, Laura?
No, we haven't.
Okay. So how was this evening for you?
It was wonderful. I admit I don't really know anything at all about the story. And so when I got Lisa's email about this, it was like, you know what, right now, this sounds like something I really want to do. And I'm very grateful that I was able to make it and that you put this on, because yeah, it was really beautiful.
Wonderful. I'm so glad you made. Joseph led you here.
I think he did. I actually, that came to me a couple times, like, Joseph's my guy.
And how about Megan?
Oh, I just loved this so much. It was so beautiful. It was just what I needed at the right time and all the reinforcement I needed. And I'm just full of gratitude to be here tonight. And I feel the fire. So thank you.
I feel the fire. Okay, well, now let's get to some of the folks that I know so well. How about Art? I haven't seen you in a Zoom call for a while, but we speak every couple of weeks. How is this for you tonight, Art? I think you're still on mute. Still on mute.
There we go. Something's
you go.
wrong with my mouse. I had a hard time hitting the unmute button. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. No, I liked it. I think I'll never look at the Gospel of Matthew the same again. I won't say that, but I really like the symbolism. That really resonated with me. And I mean, I love the story, and I think that always just had a special place in my heart, and I don't think that's going to leave anytime soon. But I picked up a lot, so thank you very much for all this, Bob. It's
Wonderful.
amazing. Thank you.
And magical Michelle the shaman. How was this for you tonight? It's so wonderful to see you again. I think you're still on mute.
To unmute
There
there.
you are.
Oh, it's good to see you. This was an incredible perspective. I mean, this really brings the whole Christian story, the same old story we hear over and over again, but to true light, because I actually was quite bored with the story before. And now it's far more meaningful to me.
It's
This
your
makes a lot
story.
more. Yes.
Your story.
Thank
Yes.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Loved
Thank
it.
you. Thank you. I love you, Michelle.
You
And
too.
Zoe, how was this for you? I don't, were you on the whole time or did you hear?
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
yes. Yeah, so um yeah, I guess this I always thought it was I grew up in an a-religious household, and but even the little I heard when I was a kid, was very I was always very drawn to this story. And yeah, I just feel like it explains that inherent this perspective, and kind of explains that inherent human draw to the miracle, that
Yes,
story.
the human draw. That's right. Yeah. And Lisa. Yes.
I was thinking, first of all, I just wanted to repeat everything that everybody said because that everybody has already articulated how I've been feeling very well. But I loved being able to understand parts that I know this story really well. When I was young, I used to we had this child's treasury of Bible stories, and I just would read it and read it and read it and read it because I was so fascinated by it. And I didn't understand. I was like, what is when especially when I got older and they'd say there was this temptation going on. I'm like, what are they talking about? What's so tempting to him? I don't understand. So it's so many places that was answered. Just before I go,
Sure.
Anna Tootsie has raised her hand, but I don't think you've seen that. So I just wanted to let you know she wanted
Who
to say
has?
something. Anna
Who has raised her
Tootsie,
hand?
she should be on your upper left hand with a hand symbol on her.
I don't see it, but if she can unmute herself, she can talk if she likes. Where is she?
Okay, here I am.
Okay.
Hello, Bob. I'm not showing my face because I'm in Italy and it's in the middle of the night, so I'm in my PJ.
Okay.
But I want to just say thank you so much. Everybody said a lot already, but my heart has been on fire since you start talking, and I
Oh.
just wanted to share that. It's like I am a feeler. I feel everything in my body. And it's been wonderful and make me very emotional too.
Oh, beautiful. You're making me emotional too. Out of a doubt, she.
Ciao.
Ciao.
Buonanotte.
And we have how do you pronounce your name? Is it Ishwazi in Milwaukee, Wisconsin? How do we pronounce your name, sir?
Ishwazi.
Ishwazi. I saw you nodding a lot through the class. So
Oh,
tell me, tell us how did you like the class before we do our closing meditation? Are you there? Oh, you're on mute right now. Muted. Can you unmute yourself?
with my sound
Okay,
on my computer.
that's going in and out. We see there's two of you now. You have a twin brother actually, you changed your name to Kathleen, it looks like.
Okay, yeah. So,
Okay.
all right. I have a problem with the sound on my computer, so I've been listening on Kathleen's computer. So now I'm on hers so that we don't get that echo.
Okay, I don't understand that at all, but go forward. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's okay. So yeah, Ishwazi is a combination of spiritual teacher and holy man from the north.
Hmm.
I practice shamanic technique, but Yeshua, I prefer to call him Yeshua, was the greatest shaman who ever lived. And so I follow him and I aspire to be what he did. So essentially, I'm down with everything you said. I appreciate everything you said. I've walked that path, the purification. I appreciate everything you said because you are right, spot on. And I'm right there with you, hand in hand. Keep doing your good work.
Thank you so much.
Oh,
Okay, now everybody fasten your seatbelts because we're going to do a powerful meditation together. But I do recommend that going forward, no one will notice it but you, but you're going to say Merry Christmas. And you're giving them the blessing of purification for the divine to unfold into a higher life for them. Okay, Merry Christmas. So we're going to do something called the temple meditation. And it's going to be a guided meditation. And if you really are sincere about wanting to walk this path and free yourself from the emotional suffering and the automatic patterns and the attachments that get in the way, this is a meditation for a major breakthrough. So what I want you to do is begin by closing your eyes and imagine yourself in a beautiful temple. And in the temple, you see a fire on an altar. You walk over to the fire. You reach deep down inside yourself and you pull out whatever's been blocking you from the birth of Christ process. Any resistance, any impediments to flowing with the universe, allowing it to do its thing with perfect faith. Any blockages you're pulling out, you don't have to understand them intellectually, just see them in your hand like goop and place them in the fire. And feel the fire burning away any attachments, any reaction patterns that cause you suffering and that get in the way. It's all burning up in the fire. Try to feel the fire within, burning it away. Now you see a pool of water and you dive into the pool. And when you're submerged, you reach deep inside yourself and you pull out any attachments, any impediments, anything that's been blocking you from proceeding along the birth of Christ process in you, the divine unfoldment in you, and you're giving it all to the water, all the blockages you're giving to the water, and see the water washing it away, and feel the water in your heart, cleansing and purifying your personality, your psyche, freeing you to be a vessel for the Christos, for the higher energy to flow through. Now you step out of the pool and you feel a breeze blowing upon you. Reach deep down inside and pull out anything blocking you, anything obstructing you from fulfilling your total divine potential. And you throw it to the wind and feel the wind blowing through your being, freeing you from anything blocking you, any resistance, any impediments to the birth of Christ process in you. Now feel the magnetic energy of the earth drawing upon the cells of your body, drawing out all the cellular memory, all the neurological patterns that are connected with any resistance to following your true way into the heavenly kingdom on earth, into the heavenly vibrations. Your body's being cleansed and purified. And now see and feel your body as pure light. Now you notice a table, and the table is fit for royalty. And there's a throne at the table, and it's your seat. It's your place at the table. You walk over to the throne, and as you seat yourself on that throne, you place your hands on the tabletop. And as you feel the wood of the tabletop, you experience the flow of unlimited abundance. You realize that you are as wealthy as the Christ. All the resources of the universe are yours. You have total access. Divine love is infinite, and it loves you so much that you never have to be concerned about resources. Feel yourself as totally wealthy and safe and secure financially as you would love to be. Enter abundance consciousness now. Now you notice a light. and you stand up and you walk toward the light until you find yourself standing in front of a candelabra, a giant candelabra with 8 giant candles. And in that light, you experience divine enlightenment. Your mind is one with the divine. No more mysteries. You see and know it all. And now you smell some incense. And you follow the trail of incense to its source. And as you do that, your heart is filled with gratitude. The gratitude that you have been set free, that you are the personification of Mary and Joseph and Jesus, the Christ within. You're so grateful for the liberation that you've experienced. I want you to feel the deepest feeling of gratitude you can experience right now in your heart. And now finally, you see a veil, and the veil parts. And as you walk into the chamber, on the other side of the veil, you see the divine, the infinite divine being. And then you realize that you're looking at a mirror. Now take a nice deep breath. Hold your breath for 3 seconds when your lungs are filled. And when you let out your air, feel like you're totally letting go and trusting yourself to the loving arms of the divine, the perfect loving support system that is the universe. Nothing can go wrong. Merry, Merry Christmas. Happy, Happy New Year. Stay in touch. You can reach me at boblancer.com or lovethemethod.com. And I love you all. Thank you so much for sharing this wonderful experience all over the world. And my heart is full. And thank you, thank you, thank you. Merry Christmas, everyone. Merry, Merry Christmas.